In this episode of Kids Podcast, I am honored to share wisdom with you about leading kids in your church and in your home. Dealing with kids is hard work, and I'm praying that we add some tools to your tool belt today. So let's dive into today's topic. In this episode of Kids Podcast, we're talking about disagreements that we have with others. How do we handle it? What's the best way to approach this? Where do we go from here? I am Ron Gale, your podcast host for this episode, and I want to talk about what we do when we're mad at somebody or have had an argument or, just straight up don't like what they said. So let's dig in, let's dive in, and bada bing, bada boom. All right, so the common situation is me and my friend, we disagree. Maybe I said something dumb, maybe they said something dumb, and now we're mad at each other. It's heated, and oh, I am so done with you. But hey, that's not Christ-like. That's not how we roll. And I work in a field where kids are watching me respond to other adults. And as leaders to kids, hey, because we're on a kids podcast, right? These kids are going to one day grow up to become big kids who are going to one day grow up to become adult kids. And then how are they going to become contributing members to our society? And they're going to learn that from watching you and how you handle conflict and disagreements with other people. And so if you know how to step forward in these moments, you can encourage it and teach it in young people, and they can be successful at representing the gospel of Christ through their conflict. So the most common teaching that you've probably already heard, what I'm going to do is add three steps to this. The common teaching you've already heard is the Matthew 18 approach. I'll walk through the Matthew 18 approach and then give you my three steps on how to solidify this, resolve. So Matthew 18 basically says this, that if you are jammed up with your friend, mad, upset, whatever, first thing you should do is go directly to that individual and air your grievance. Now, if that individual is a good human being, they'll at least listen. If they are a follower of Christ, they will listen and work with you. And maybe they're not a follower of Christ. They might even listen and work with you. Regardless, if their heart is soft, if their heart is ready, if their heart is willing, they will listen. I had a situation not long ago where someone was mad at me for something I said. They didn't even tell me. Months had gone by. I had no clue that I had offended them. And if they had told me, I would have been like, oh, snap. Bro, I'm sorry. I feel bad. But they never told me. I had to find out through the grapevine, and that was very awkward, very weird, very fast. So step one, if you're in a Matthew 18 situation, if someone has offended you, find that individual one-on-one and air your grievance. But let's say that individual is a no-good, cotton-headed ninny-muggins, and they are not heeding your request. They don't care. They continue to offend. There continues to be a problem. Now Matthew 18 goes on to tell you that you should take a friend, take a partner, take someone with you to air the exact same grievance. All right? Pretty simple, right? Instead of it being one-on-one, it's now two-on-one. My recommendation on that second individual should be someone that has some sort of stake in the game. Maybe your spouse, maybe your boss, maybe someone who can also speak into the individual or into the situation, but two-on-one. But let's say you go through that and they continue to be a conflict. So now you go to step 3 in Matthew 18. You already did one-on-one. You've done two-on-one. Both do not work. So now we go to the third step, and that is take it to the man upstairs. Now, that could mean take it to, say, your organizational leadership, take it to the board membership, take it to legality, take it to council, take it to someone that is more of a representation of a group rather than, say, the boss, because that's just one individual. Take it to someone who represents a group. Then deal with it there. So it's basically 1v1, 2v1, group v1. All right. And then from there, wipe your hands off and be done with the situation. Okay? That's the Matthew 18 approach. You've aired your grievance. You've tried to reconcile. And if at any point the individual accepts it and is like, yeah, okay, I'm sorry, and you guys can move forward. You don't have to go to step 2 and 3. But if they continue to deny and continue to be a conflict, then you've done your part as a faithful follower of Christ. You've done your part as a member to our society. Move forward and just wash your hands of that relationship, because clearly they are no good, dirty, rotten, pig-stealing farmers at this point, right? Okay, so now, let's say you go to the individual. What are the talking points? These are the 3 points that I wanted to talk to you guys about, because often we come up with these disgruntlements and we're like, hey, I'm mad at you, bro, and boom, and it's not really a very fruitful conversation because we don't know how to debate, we don't know how to discuss, we don't know how to talk it out. And so what are the 3 things you need in order to have a fruitful conversation, whether it's a debate or a conflict resolution? And I've broken it down to 3 parts. Number 1 is clarity. Both parties need clarity. Sometimes that is clarity on a definition. Sometimes that's clarity on what has occurred. Sometimes that's clarity on what you feel and what I feel. Clarity all around. Both individuals need to be able to say, I clearly understand what you are saying. Clearly understand the words you are using. I clearly have empathy and sympathy for what you are trying to explain to me. I can clearly recall what you said. There is clarity. Okay? Now, both sides have clarity. But do both sides have agreement? This is number 2. Number 1 is gaining clarity. Number 2 is agreement. Because you might have clarity on what happened, but you may not have agreement on if you like it, if it's acceptable, if it's something you want to work with. Let's give a very simple example. It's dinner time. It's Tuesday, dinner time at the house, and the wife says, what do you want for dinner? Well, I'm going to say tacos, bro, because it's Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. And the wife says, well, I know that it's Taco Tuesday, but I don't want tacos. I want cheeseburgers. Okay, the clarity moment is I know that my wife wants cheeseburgers and my wife knows that I want tacos. But we do not agree on what we're going to actually get. So now we need to figure out agreement. Now, agreement can also be agreeing to disagree. Agreeing that we are at an impasse. Agreeing that your perspective, your view, your angle, your everything about this is not going to be in alignment with what I'm saying. We fully understand each other, but we do not agree. An excellent example of this is well, our government shutdown. You know, the one side understands what the other side is talking about. And the other side is understanding what the other side is talking about. They just don't agree, which is why the budget's not being approved. That's the second portion. We have clarity, we just do not have agreement. And sometimes you're going to get to a situation where, we have clarity and we have agreement. You want tacos? Yeah, I also want tacos. Or, you have tacos? I want cheeseburgers. What if we both did tacos and cheeseburgers? A taco burger. Okay, we're on the same page. We agree. Taco burger night. Right? And that's a little bit going into the third step, but stick with me for a second, making sure we're still on the same page of understanding clarity and agreement. Clarity, we fully understand one another. Agreement, now we are in agreement with what we are understanding. And now that we have agreement, whether it's an agreement to disagree, an agreement to impasse, or an agreement to agree, now we need to have number 3, an action step. What are we going to do with this agreement? What are we going to do with this disagreement? I clearly understand what you're saying. Here is our agreement. What is next? What do we do? Sometimes in arguments, when we get to that excellent moment, that brilliant moment of, hey, things are good, we agree, we're on the same page. What do we do next? That could be a plan of action. That could be a change of heart. It could be, here's what I'm going to do and what you're going to do to work together so that we can keep the relationship strong. Here's what we're going to do so that we can continue to grow the relationship. Here's what we're going to do so that we can move forward in this relationship. Here's what's going to happen next on your part and my part. Because it takes 2 parts in this relationship to make things go forward. Well, this is what we are agreeing on as we move forward in our relationship. But then on the other end, we disagree. Now, does this disagreement mean we have to not be friends? To not have a relationship? No. It just means we disagree. We disagree about tacos and burgers, and I disagree that I definitely don't want a taco burger. That sounds American. I want straight up tacos on Taco Tuesday. It could be Taco Bell for all I care. Tacos on Taco Tuesday. I don't want no made up taco burger. Ew. I'm not going to divorce my wife over taco burgers, guys. In all reality, I'd probably have a taco burger just for her. But I'm more likely to say, let's just go get you a burger and I'm going to get a taco. And can we do that step instead? Regardless, we need an action step, even if we disagree or come to an impasse. And like with the example of our government shutdown, the action step is we have to go through this experience of having a shutdown. That is the current action step. And then the next step is whatever the government does next. Because we're not going to agree on this. We're at an impasse. Now, sometimes these action steps are just not favorable for a lot of reasons and at a large scale. And it's such a bad disagreement that, well, it defines the rest of the relationship. That's right. Sometimes your lack of agreement will define the rest of this relationship. Let's give a different example. When I was in college, I was dating this girl. We agreed on who Jesus was. We agreed on church. We agreed on kids. Where we did not agree on was the allowance of alcohol into consumption. She got drunk a couple times during our dating relationship, and I just disagreed with that lifestyle. Not that I disagreed with people that drink, I just disagreed with having that as a lifestyle that I wanted to live with for the rest of my life. And that was such a big point of disagreement that it changed, it redefined our relationship. And sometimes that happens when you're in conflict. You need to be okay with that. Because you've done your part. You've done your part to clarify. You've done your part to find agreement, even if it's disagreement. And now you're doing your part to move forward. And in this case, moving forward is without you. And so there you have it. How to handle conflict as a leader. Because your kids, as a coach, as a parent, as a pastor over kids, they're going to come to you. My friend did this. My so-and-so did that. And blah, blah, blah. I had this one kid. We went to a retreat. It was an overnight retreat with a bunch of dads and a bunch of boys. It was like a 2-night thing. It's awesome. Do it every year. And, you know how the boys get. The one boy starts picking on the one boy. And he kind of just lets it go because, hey, they're friends. But they're young. They don't know any better. So that boy continues to pick on. Continues to borderline bully. Finally, the second boy he just has enough. And he just punches the kid. Teach you right now. Don't mess with me. Well, they had a disagreement. And now they were not friends. Not because of a punch, but because they did not know how to handle conflict resolution. Man, how nice would it be if an 8-year-old, 9-year-old knew about Matthew 18? Joey, I don't like it when you pick on me. Well, maybe this whole situation would be different if they started with that. Joey, when you pick on me, it makes me feel sad. It makes me feel upset. I don't like it. Well, now Joey has clarity. Maybe Joey agrees or doesn't agree. It doesn't matter. Joey, I agree. Being friends is awesome and we shouldn't punch each other. Okay? Now we agree. But then action steps. Joey, let's continue being friends. Now in this exact situation, we had to help the kids recognize, one, being a bully, being an annoying, pesky friend isn't cool. But also retaliating with a punch is also equally not cool. And we help them talk it out. And now they're friends. Now they play video games online together. And now they have learned how to have conflict resolution as 8-9-year-olds. So there's that. Yes. That's what I have for conflict resolution. And I hope that when your kids or the kids that you oversee are in conflict, you now have tools in your tool belt to guide them. Not just Matthew 18, but also helping them to identify clarity, agreement, and action steps. I'm Ron Gale, your podcast host for today. If you got questions, you know where to find me. Until next time, everybody say bye, Pastor Juan. Thank you for listening. Smash those like buttons, turn the bells blue, or whatever the kids are doing these days. At the end of the day, our goal is to raise little people to one day become big people. You can find older archived podcasts on our YouTube channel and support what we do at rongaleministries.com. Enjoy!